Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Preserving History and Democracy podcast. My name is Caroline Zamora, and I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk. And today I'm joined by our Bureau of Election Supervisor, Janice Giron.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by special guest, Tina Barton. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Honored to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm really excited today. You are in studio, which we've done a podcast with you before, but that was a Zoom interview. But today you're here because you're also doing a really fun, really great training for us. But before we get into that training, I just want to remember, can we run through a little bit of your story? But if you want to get the full story, you can listen to our previous podcast, which we'll link in the description. Right, Jacob? Yes, ma'am. All right. Sounds good. But can we go ahead and run through like your background, kind of what you do, and tell us all the things.
Yeah. So thank you. Again, it's so exciting to be here with all of you. I mean, like you said, last time it was Zoom. So this is super cool to be here with you. And I love your team. So yeah, I mean, a little bit about me. I spent 32 years working in government, worked at multiple levels, starting at the county level and then working for cities, townships, and ended my career working at the federal level for the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. The unique thing about Michigan is in Michigan, the city and township clerks run elections. So my last career move at the local level in Michigan was as a city clerk. So I was an appointed clerk there, working as the city clerk all the way through the 2020 election cycle. Spent that 2020 cycle like many in elections did, kind of just responding to the moment that we were in with COVID, but as well as kind of this new divisive culture that we have found ourselves in elections. And the week after the 2020 election, I received a threat from an individual who said that, when I least expected, that they would surround me and they would kill me. And lots of derogatory terms used towards me and my family, as well as lots of very sexualized language. That individual did do prison time, was prosecuted, and just was released from prison this past summer. So it was a really intense time as an election official to be going through that, but it really has shaped who I am today, and I like to take adversity and see how I can make it positive. And so for me, that positive has been becoming the co-chair of the Committee for Safe and Secure Elections, and that's something that I'm super passionate about, which is even what brought me here to all of you today to do some training. We're a committee that consists of about 30 people. Half are current and former election officials, the other half are current and former law enforcement. And I think every election official, I'm pretty sure almost every single one that is on our committee did receive death threats after that 2020 cycle. So we have all walked in the shoes of the people that we're trying to help. And we're all super passionate because it's personal for us about providing resources for them and how can we be helpful, how can we build collaborations, conversations between law enforcement and election officials, and how do we make sure that every person is safe doing their job, that every voter is safe voting, and that the process also stays safe and chain of custody stays intact and all of those things. So it's become really a lifelong passion for me now of making sure that people like you that I love and care about in this field, that I have tons of respect for what you're still doing, that I know that I can do whatever I can to make sure that you all are safe while you're doing it.
What I love about one of the outcomes of your story is that, one, that you were able to overcome all of that. You really took this in stride. And I mean, it's not easy going through such a long process of getting that individual being prosecuted, eventually going and serving time. But I'm sure that it was not easy for your family either. I think what people don't realize is that there's family and there's loved ones and there's home, there's pets at home, there's children at home, there's grandchildren at home.
Right.
It's not just you who's being threatened.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It certainly, and that's where I think we've seen a lot of election officials walking away from the profession, because if it were just us, that's one thing. But when you have, people at home who love you, I'm my mom's only child, that was absolutely freaked her out that her only child, that someone would be targeting them. And, I had to tell her when we went to the sentencing, I said, Mom, you cannot say a word. You have to sit here. You have to be
No talking, Mom.
quiet.
Yeah.
You have to let the judge handle this, because she's mama bear over me, right? I'm her baby girl, and I'm what she has. And so, and I have grandkids. And so there's that thought too of somebody's targeting me, are they targeting them? And so that's definitely, a concern. And I care, like I said, not only about you guys as professionals, but as I see you personally as individuals, and somebody's daughter, maybe somebody's mom, you're somebody's mate, whatever it might be. You mean something to someone, and you have value outside of this building to a lot of people. And I think that it's easy for us to dehumanize in this world that we're living in. I think we see that happen a lot, to dehumanize you, that you aren't somebody's daughter or somebody's friend or somebody's spouse or whatever that might be, that you're just the election official and they don't like what's going on in elections, or they don't like what's going on in government, so you're their target. But I see you for who you are. I see you, that you have people who care about you and love you and want you to be safe. And I'm one of those people, and that's important to me.
Yeah. I think we're so desensitized in this day and age, with everything that we see on television and hear on the radio, podcasts, social media, everywhere,
Right.
that it's really hard for people to see others outside of maybe their own immediate family as people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Also, what I love about this story is what you've turned it into. And now I think of you as like this amazing crusader going across the country and making sure that, we have the tools and resources to stay safe ourselves, and for election officials, not just us who are election administrators all the time, but the election officials who are here for just a couple weeks, maybe once or twice a year. And making sure that they're safe and that they have the tools. And can you talk about how that has kind of started and kind of come to fruition for you now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Committee for Safe and Secure Elections, when we started a few years ago, it's been like 3.5 years ago now, really our initial investment was let's bring law enforcement to the table for them to see and understand really what it is that election officials are dealing with, right? After 2020, they had a lot going too in the law enforcement profession. I see it again. My husband's law enforcement. I know most of them are very much like the election officials, where they're understaffed, they're under-resourced, they're underpaid, and right now they're under attack. And so it was bringing them to the table. So let's talk about how we keep you safe, how we keep our poll workers safe, and how we keep the polls safe, right? And so we really kind of focused those first couple years on doing that, and putting together whatever resources that we could. But the one thing that we have seen is that this culture of verbal attack and harassment and threats is continuing. We've seen a ton of political violence in our country in just the last year. People have assassination attempts. We've seen, state representatives who have been shot. We've seen governors' homes set on fire. I mean, it's been intense, right? And to see that kind of culture is still existing, knowing that our frontline workers, our poll workers, are also facing this. I mean, we, obviously had been pretty focused on our election officials, but knowing too that those people that we really need to make democracy work, those 74-year-old retirees who are coming in there and manning that polling location all day long, we need them to be safe too, and we need them to have tools. And so one of the classes that we have been teaching is a de-escalation course, and just so that when people come in either to your office and they're meeting you at the counter, they're meeting you at the door, wherever it might be, or they're coming to your frontline workers, maybe they're upset with government in general. Maybe they're working through something personally and taking it out on you, whatever it might be. Just teaching you ways that we can help you de-escalate situations, to also calm people down in the moment, to help them have a positive outcome at the end of the day, and to see what it is that we can do. And so one of the things I really love about the de-escalation course that we teach is it's not just about use this word and not that word. It's not just about stand this way or not that way. It's more like, let's understand what's going on with you physically when you feel attacked, when you feel like somebody is threatening you, what's happening in your body, and then what's happening in theirs. So let's talk about, like, how do we calm the nervous system down? How do we, like, get that point where that point of your body is, like, taking over, taking control, that's causing you to be irrational in that moment? How do we get it so that that rational part of your brain re-engages for you and for them? I mean, one of the things I often say in training is you can't walk somebody out of a storm that you're still standing in. If you're still standing in this moment of crazy yourself, I can't get you as the person who's upset, whether you're a voter or a challenger or campaigner. I can't get you out of a moment I can't get myself out of. And so it's really understanding how all of that works and helping you and helping them at the same time.
Yep.
I think, I went through the training this morning. We have 2 sessions today, and I've been through de-escalation trainings before. However, I really appreciated in this one how you took most of the information and made it relatable, made it something that I myself and others could think about and put ourselves in the scenario. It made it much more understandable.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a goal, right? That's something I want to do, because when I walk out the door and I leave here, I don't want you to just have information. I want you to, like, have life change things that you can actually implement and do at that time. And so we were just in Virginia earlier this week, and I taught de-escalation classes there. And after the first night, went into their office the next day, and one of the poll workers was there, and she's like, Miss Tina, I'm so excited to tell you, I already used one of the techniques today and it worked. And so it was like so fulfilling to me to have, like, one of their poll workers say, I had a crazy situation this morning, and something that you taught me to do, I did it and it worked. I mean, that to me is like, that's like chef's kiss. I'm like, this is amazing. This is exactly why I do this. And I want you to be able to use this, professionally and personally too, right? There's a lot of things going on just in our lives in general. And so something that you can teach someone that, like, no matter if it is election day or early voting, no matter what it is, there's value in it for them, and they're going to remember it 6 months later. They're going to remember it a year later. Maybe it's taking a breath. Maybe it's detouring. Maybe it's tapping out, whatever it might be. But that is going to come to their mind at some point, and they're going to be like, I remember she said to do this, and it might get them out of a situation that could have escalated to something really bad.
What I think is really important about this is that, like you said, like, you had this woman who came to you and said, I got to use it today and how exciting it is. I think it's important because, one, we need de-escalation. And what I love about your training is that you're teaching them what's physically happening. And all I think is, man, you can use this, like, on your husband. You can use this on your dogs. Use it on your kids.
Absolutely.
Use it everywhere. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Because it's about maintaining control of yourself. And how do you gain back control of yourself? And some of that is, we talk about just breathe. We often say that, somebody's like getting really anxious, like, just breathe, just take a breath. And it really is sometimes as simple as that, working through a breathing exercise that can just, like, calm you down, calm your nervous system down, all of those things that, contain the cortisol and adrenaline that are running through your body. And whether you're doing that at the grocery store, or someone has cut you off in traffic, or somebody cut us off in the parking lot earlier, whatever it might be, you can still use all of those same techniques to help you on a daily basis. And frankly, it's one of those things that, like anything else, the more you use it, the more natural it becomes. The more aware you become of what your triggers are, or when you start feeling certain sensations in your body where you're like, whoa, okay, I can tell my heart rate is increasing. I can tell that, maybe my hands are getting a little shaky. I can feel that, like, adrenaline push where there's, like, feels like energy is just running through my whole body right now. I'm triggered. And recognize within yourself that that's the case, that you've reached that point. And yeah, maybe that is, like, if you're in the middle of an argument with somebody at home or whatever that might be, you're like, I can tell I'm not thinking rationally because all of the things that are happening in my body are a direct response of that amygdala hijack that's going on right now. And that prefrontal cortex in my body has been like, whoop, checked out, on vacation right now. You are not being rational. And until you can get control of that, you're going to say and do things that you might have to apologize for later, or that you would not have normally done if you were actually thinking straight and rational by using your prefrontal cortex.
Can I say what I love that you're doing this training and that you're going all over the country and helping election officials. Part of it makes me sad that we're at a point in time where we have to do this, you know? Another part of me is like really excited that you're also very passionate about, a mindful practice.
Yeah.
I believe it was one of our affiliate meetings, or was it election school that we saw you at here at New Mexico?
Oh, yes.
It was election
Yeah, it was
school, wasn't
election
it? It was
school.
election school,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you were talking to us about mindfulness, which I think is
Yeah.
really important for everyone and in every setting.
Yeah.
Especially like in a professional setting. I think that's really important. But also, it makes me a little sad that we're in this point where we have to talk about these things.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I also am really appreciative of the fact that we are having the conversations. I remember, kind of a couple of years ago, really pressing that we need to start talking about mental wellness and resilience in this profession because we're losing people. And we can pound all of the information in their brain that they need to know to do their job. But if things up here aren't going well, then things that you do at work don't go well either. And so having that mental wellness and doing some resilience training, that is so important to me because I remembered at that time, again, getting that threat where I found myself in a place where I was like, whoa, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I thought I was okay and I wasn't. And it like hit me one day when I had a situation happen at home and I'm like, I need to talk to somebody about this. Like, this is not, I'm not in a good headspace right now. And I feel so much empathy for all of you in the profession and so much just appreciation for who you are that I want to make sure that we're not just feeding you the to-do list, but we're also feeding you personally. And the only way I can do that is to talk about your mental wellness and all the ways that you can take care of yourself. I mean, the de-escalation is great. That's going to take care of a lot of things too, right? But I find that people in this profession tend to be perfectionists.
Yeah.
We're really hard on ourselves. We get a lot of attention from the public, right? But I guarantee you it's nothing harder than the attention you're putting on yourself, the demands for perfection that you're putting on yourself, the expectations that you have. And then you're going to go home and have people who are also going to have expectations, right? And so I want to make sure that, again, that whole being, and that includes the de-escalation, understanding your body, being self-aware of all those things, but also like that mental wellness side of you, that you're knowing when you need to take a break, take 5 minutes, go for a walk. That's healthy. While you think you don't have time for it, let me tell you, you don't have time not to do it.
Yeah.
You don't have time not to do it because you're going to come back 5 minutes later and you're going to be a much better person. You're going to be much more focused, all of those things. So those things are just as important to me also, is making sure that you feel mentally taken care of, because if I can keep you not only physically safe, but if I can put you in a place where mentally you're feeling good about your space that you're in, that means I keep you in the profession. That means you're not walking away. That means you're not giving up on this. That means that you stay another election cycle. And that makes our democracy stronger when we have people doing the job who know what they're doing, people who have invested in this. And I want you to love what you do. And in any way I can help you do that, I want to do that. One of the things I talk about when we talk about the mental wellness class is, I've already mentioned I have grandkids who just happen to be like the cutest people on the earth, right? They're all like 4 and under. And I talk about how when they want me to pick them up, right? They might weigh like 30, 40 pounds, right? And they want me to carry them. And I talk about how when I initially pick them up, how I'm able to carry them for a while. I might even have to like shift them from one hip to the other hip at some point. But there comes a point in time where the weight becomes so heavy that in order to carry them properly, I actually need to put them down. And during that time where I have picked them up and I've carried them for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it might be, their weight has not changed. They haven't gained 20 pounds while I'm carrying them. But what has happened is physically the sustainment of being able to carry them any longer is causing my body to hurt. And we do so many things with our bodies to, like, buy, a salon pause patch or whatever to, put on a sore muscle. And we have all these things, take a Motrin, take an Advil, and we'll pay attention to those things, but we don't pay attention as much to that mental weight that we're carrying. And we keep carrying and we keep carrying, and it gets heavier and heavier, even though maybe it's not gaining weight, but we're also not putting it down. And we don't talk about as much of how just as important for it is for us to pay attention to that physical side of our body that says enough is enough. At some point, like, your arms start shaking. When you're holding one of those kiddos for a really long period of time, that muscle in your arm starts, like, getting a little, like, crazy on you. Well, guess what? Like, up here, when you are carrying those things for too long, it's going to impact your entire body. You're going to get sick. All of these things are, like, going to happen when you don't pay attention to the stress load and realize at some point, I am not superhuman. I am human, and I have to put this down. And understanding the techniques that you can do for mental wellness to make sure that weight you're carrying, you understand you cannot continue to carry it in the way that you are without putting that down and finding some ways to help yourself.
I love that you bring that up, because I think a lot of election officials in our county, in our state, in our country suffer from burnout.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with the mental stress that we carry.
Absolutely.
Elections are no fail.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's no room for error, really. Yep. But one of the things I love about our office now is that that's stressed. It's stressed to get up, take a break, take some breaths, go for a walk. Because if you're not mentally here, if you're not mentally able to take care of yourself, then you're not mentally able to do your job or take care of your family or anything else in your life. Yeah. And I think that's really important that everyone realize that.
It's a culture, right? It's a culture. And, kudos to you and your team and Amanda, all of you, for creating a culture where that's acceptable. Again, there's most election officials I know are, like, demanding perfection of themselves too, and all those things. Like you said, burnout is huge, and we're seeing huge turnover numbers across the country in states. Some states going as high as like 80% after the 2020 election, between then and 2024, where the chief election official was not the same person 4 years later. And I get that, and I see that, but that's the responsibility too of leadership that we have, is to recognize the fact that, hey, I need to invest in my employees. I need to invest in them personally and professionally. And that means that I also have to model that behavior for them. And it has to mean that I have to support them. So when I know there's a lot of work to be done, but I also see that person hasn't gotten up for their desk for a few hours. Hey, Janice, I noticed you've been sitting here for a really long time. Like, I bet if you take a 5-minute walk and come back, that problem's going to look a lot smaller than it did the fact that you've been looking at it for the last 2 hours, right? And so I think that that's a cultural thing too, that we have to, I know a lot of election officials just push themselves for hours and hours of work, right? We're working 12, 14, 16-hour days, and we do it because the job really almost demands it of us, if you will, because we want that perfection, but it's just not sustainable. It's not sustainable, and we have to find a way to make sure that our people are supported, that they also know that it's acceptable to do those things, to take that break, to invest in themselves. I mean, even just the little room that we're in, that you have a couch here that, somebody can just come and kind of even just detach from their workspace for just a few minutes and find a place of solitude that doesn't look like their cubicle is also really critical. So, I mean, again, kudos to you and your team for paying attention to that and knowing that your employees, that you value them enough to invest in that.
Yeah. I really have to give kudos to Amanda, our clerk, because her background is in mental health.
Yes.
And so she does understand that.
Yes.
And then the company I worked before I came to government, we were all trauma-informed trained. And so I think that brings a different lens to the way we run a government office, which is not typical. Because we do believe in mindfulness. We believe in come take a break and in a comfy room and sit on a couch and just detach for a few minutes.
Yep.
I tell people to go outside all the time and they don't listen to me, but I tell them, well, they go take a walk. We have beautiful grounds here at the county. Like, it's really a beautiful area. Go take a walk. And again, I wish we would see it in more areas of government, but it is so important. And thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like I said, you were like a crusader going across the country and really promoting safety and mindfulness for election officials. And thank you for everything. And
Thank you.
I'm sad that we have to promote it like this and that we're in the times that we're in, but it's really important right now because without our election officials, without the administrators who are doing it day to day, and without those who come in on election day and the hundreds, the thousands of people across the country who work election day, without them, none of this gets done.
That's right. And our country depends on them, depends on you. And I think you've, in the past, been, people knew you were there but didn't know you were there. You know what I'm saying? It was like not really something that people even knew who the county clerk was or who ran, how the elections actually worked. And everything's been under a microscope now of people like wanting to see everything very closely, and even, the extra pressures that brings on you of this fear of failure in any way. And that's why I think this is so critical in this moment, that as leadership, leading by example to the staff members of how to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're being self-aware of all things of the mental health, but also in de-escalating situations, knowing what your triggers are, all of those things, that you're mirroring that's out to them so that they then will follow, observe that behavior and mirror that back at you and to the public. So it's kind of this, in my opinion, a domino. If it starts with you at leadership, it continues on down to the staff, at the very person who may even just, be an intern or be a person who's volunteering, whatever that is. It's a culture that you can create that makes your people want to stay here, makes them want to work here, take pride in their work, but also care about the people. And that I think you all are doing a great job of here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I think that's it for this podcast episode, y'all. We dug into some really exciting topics. I'm so glad that Tina joined us and that you got to come out to Las Cruces and spend time with us.
I'm so excited.
I know we get to see Tina. I mean, I've seen you, a couple times a year these probably last 2 or 3 years now. Yeah. I know. And last time I saw you, we had curly hair.
We did. All three of us.
We took
a picture because we all three had curly hair, and then we walked in today and we all had blown our hair out. So it was kind of funny. The important things, right?
The important things. These are the things that you have to, the moments of joy, I call them. You have to find the little bits of joy throughout the day.
It's the relationships,
it
right?
Is,
I mean, and that's one thing I do love about this profession. Yeah. It's like, I'm in Michigan, you guys are in New Mexico, but I love every time I see you, right? I'm going to give you a hug as long as I don't have like creepy crud throat going. So, but I mean, that's what's so amazing about this profession. We're all over the country, all in different states, but there's just this camaraderie. There's this, just familyhood, if you will, that, like, again, I care about you guys as people, and we don't even work in the same building together, but your fellow election officials, I've gotten to know you, I see you places, and if I see you out in public, man, I'm giving you a big hug because it's been a while, right? Yep. And that's what's so great about this profession, really, is just, again, that the friends that you make, the relationships that you make, and I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
for being here. I appreciate everything you're doing so much.
You.
Well, thank you for listening today. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts, wherever you listen to your podcast. My name is Caroline Zamora. I want to thank Janice Giron, our Bureau of Elections Supervisor, for joining us today. And a special thanks to our special guest, Tina Barton, with the elections group, for joining us. And my name is Caroline Zamora. I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk, and you're listening to the Preserving History and Democracy podcast. We'll see you next time.